boys are going to bring the heat today.
As the leader of the Booner Pack, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the f*** up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juice pumping, boys.
All right, we are live. Detroit Lions, Philadelphia Eagles, post-game show. That was a game. I'll tell you that. I don't know what kind of game you want to describe that, but that was a game. The Lions lost to the Philadelphia Eagles 16-6, or 9-16. Sorry, 16-9. They lost 16-9. They kicked the field goal late in the game and had a chance to potentially get the ball back. It was a controversial, it was a pass interference call that to me did not look at all like a pass interference call, but despite that, the Lions did a lot of things in this game that did not help their chances of winning this football game. There's a lot of things you can get to before that missed PI. It was a big deal, obviously. They would have had a chance with no timeouts. Or what? They would have had what? A timeout? I don't know, whatever. I can't remember.
They have a timeout left with about a minute.
So they would have had a chance to go down and tie the game. But it was just one of those grimy, defensive, disgusting, low-scoring games. And before we harp on the call, let's talk about what we saw that game entirely. Okay, we saw an offense that was poor. Goff was terrible. He was terrible. He was 14 of 37 with one touchdown, one interception, 14 completions for 255. So they moved the ball downfield. A lot of that, though, was yards after catch. So it wasn't even downfield. Let me correct that. It was yards after catch. Help of Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs had huge plays. He had a 42-yard gain that was basically just all yards after catch. He ended the game with 5 catches for 100 yards. Jamison, 4 catches, 88 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jared could not connect today, and I'm the most disappointed in that because we thought Amon-Ra would have a huge day today. He was clamped up all game, and they couldn't connect even when it was open. They just couldn't connect. Amon-Ra had 2 catches for 42 yards, 12 targets. Jahmyr, 12 carries, 39 yards. Montgomery, 6 carries, 27 yards. It was just it was a terrible game offensively, and to be honest with you guys, and by the way, people are saying Goff. The O-line, by the way, the O-line was really bad. But Goff was also really bad. It was both. I mean, and that's what happens. Your offense just looks like bad. If your offensive line's not playing well, and then by that Goff's not playing well, you're not going to have a lot of success offensively. I mean, it was a recipe for disaster. It was tough.
Yeah. I think those are one of those games, and honestly, we've seen a lot of these games in the NFL with a lot of teams that are probably going to be in the playoffs, where it's one of those games where what you said at the beginning, where it's like kind of a grimy game.
Yeah.
And I thought you brought up a good point during the game where it was like some teams just win grimy games, right? Like the Eagles this year, they've just won a lot of one-possession games and grimy games where they haven't really looked like the Eagles, but they just keep coming out with wins.
Broncos, another one. They keep winning these gross games.
There's these teams that do it, but the thing is, at the end of the day, it's like they're winning, right? And like with the Lions, it's you can blow bad teams out. But these grimy games that you've been in versus, the Packers, who you kind of got blown out a little bit, but like the Chiefs, the Vikings, now the Eagles, you haven't been able to pull out one of those grimy wins. And this was one where it was like, it felt like you did have a million opportunities and like your offense didn't click. I thought the defense today, I'll say this, I know they gave up some spots, but the fact that your defense today, this Lions defense, was getting to put in a position constantly with field position where your offense is going for it on 4th down 5 times, doesn't convert 1, 0 for 5 on 4th down. So you're constantly getting backed up against the wall. There was one that was pushed all the way forward. But you're just putting your defense in those spots, right? And the fact they only gave up 16 points or whatever it was at 16, that they only gave 16 up after your offense going 0 for 5 and your offense essentially not being able to convert 3rd downs and not essentially helping you this whole game. I think that's a positive sign. But the fact that you can't pull out one of these wins, man, I think it's worrisome a little bit. I am going to be there with you on that. Like there's a worrisome to this, to where when you do get in the playoffs, if you don't have the 1 seed, man, you got to go on the road and win some of these games. And if you can't do that versus the Eagles team, it's going to be tough to do it versus the Rams team on the road, Seahawks on the road. Like there are teams in the NFC on the road that you're going to have to go play. and it's going to be tough, man. And you saw today Jared Goff with a little bit of pressure did not look good. Jared Goff looked bad today. Let's just call a spade a spade. Jared Goff did not look good today. Did not.
He just
and I don't know if it was a mixture of, hey, there was some pressure from the offensive line. Receivers weren't getting open. We knew Vic Fangio was going to have a good scheme ready for him. And that's where I think this comes down to. Like, obviously, we didn't think the game was going to get played out like this. We knew this was going to be a tough game, though. Like,
I thought it would be like a 24-20 type of game.
Yeah.
But still, it was less than that.
But, like, you knew Vic Fangio was going to have a plan and that he was going to make it hard on your offense. Like, we all knew that. But the problem, I think, with today's game is when you went 0 for 5 and 4th down and you couldn't put your defense in a good position all game long. And 2, like, you should have, like, you changed 2 possessions. Like, take those 4th downs away, man. If you find a way for 1 or 2 of those possessions to turn those into a touchdown, 1 or 2 of them, you win this game. You know what I mean? It's not like, hey, man, we lost by 4 touchdowns. You lost by 7 or 6 points or whatever, 7 points, man. And you played one of the worst football games you've played all year offensively. Coming off a massive win and an offensive win last week. So, yeah, I'm not going to sit here and be like, Dan shouldn't call plays, nothing. I'm not going to do that because it is his second week doing it. But today was a little eye-opening in a sense of, man, this was a good defense you went up against, and your offense just got dominated from start to finish. And you couldn't convert. Like, what's your bread and butter been for 3 or 4 years? 4th downs. You're one of the best you are the best 4th down team in all of football over the last 3 years with Dan Campbell. You could not convert 1, and you did it 5 times.
I know.
It's not like you did it twice and went 0 for 2, and you're like, dang, man, that was tough. Like, we just missed a couple of them down the stretch when we needed them. You went for it 5 times throughout the entire game. You did not convert 1 of them. Not 1. 0 for 5 on 4th down. I don't even think that's an embarrassing stat when you, especially, and I'm sure Dan after post game is going to step up to the podium and be like, that's on me. And you guys know how much I love Dan Campbell. That's an embarrassing stat. If you're going to be a 4th down football team that's supposed to convert and you can't go in there and go 1 for 5, 2 for 5. You went 0 for 5 on 4th down and you lost by 7 points. You lost by 1 possession and you went 0 for 5.
And I see like the chat talking about the O-line. The O-line was not great today.
The O-line was not, man.
But that's on Dan to also understand. And I could see why if you go into a game thinking like, hey, in this game, we're probably going to have to go for it on 4th down, even though I completely disagree with that philosophy. But let's just say he went into the game thinking that. You'd think that when the game is going and you're seeing how it's playing out, it might alter maybe your perspective. For example, you see the O-line struggling. Maybe you think twice about going for it on 4th down because your O-line has been terrible that game. Maybe you adjust on the fly. You're like, well, it's the 4th and 5. Our O-line has been shit today. Maybe we shouldn't attempt this. They've been really bad today. Or Amon-Ra and Jared aren't connecting today, or no one's getting open today. Maybe we shouldn't go for it here.
For sure.
It's like you get a feel for the game, and I love Dan. I just think that's where he's kind of lacked in big games, is like the feel for the game while it's happening. The last big one that's happened like this, and I'll say it, is the 49ers championship game against the 49ers when they had a 17-point lead, and Dan just never really had a good feel for the game. He's going for it when he shouldn't. He does it when he should. He gets panicky on these big stages in terms of going for it on 4th down. And I think he's an excellent coach, but that's been the one thing with Dan that's just, he can't figure it out. I don't know what it is. These big games, he gets finicky. He gets, finicky. Is that the word? He gets very finicky. I think that's the word. I think either I'm using it wrong or not. Regardless, he gets shaky. All right. He gets very shaky when it comes to those big decisions in big moments. And it just seemed like he wanted this win. The Lions wanted this win so bad. I get it. But this is why teams like the Broncos and the Eagles can win these grimy games, because they see how the game flow's going. The Eagles understand, listen, we're not great offensively right now. We're not playing great offensively right now. We're going to take the points when we get them. We're going to play field position, and we're going to play smart. The Lions did the opposite of that. They didn't care about field position. They turned the ball over. They just looked like the worst team, and they deserved to lose. I mean, they did. I mean, they just looked like the worst team.
I do think there's a world
in the game.
And we've watched a lot of football, right? Like we've covered football. We've been doing this for a while now. there's those games where you have to be kind of strategic. Like I think it's just what you brought up. Like Nick Sirianni, that Eagles team, they've been all year getting like sliding by these wins, and they know the correct moments, right? Like they have a feel for, hey, we just got to take what we can get here. We got to punt, like you said, and I'll give you credit for this at the beginning of the game. Like you got to punt and pin them back, right? Your defense is your advantage, right? Let's try and win field possession game, right? That's like a game you can kind of win within a game.
That's what the Eagles did. They're like, this offense stinks for the Lions. Keep pinning them.
But even then, they're like, but they're like, our offense sucks right now. They scored 16 tonight, and most of it's just off short field position because of the Lions. So their offense sucked tonight. What did they do? They pinned us back constantly, and they pinned Khalif Raymond inside the 20 every possession, and they made the offense work for it. What did? We did the complete opposite, and I think that's the difference from a team that's won a Super Bowl to the team that hasn't. I think Dan Campbell's aggressiveness is unbelievable. I think it's great. Like I think in moments it's good, and there's a reason why Dan's gotten to where he has and this Lions team has, is because they have been aggressive at different moments. But there comes a time where there are games where you are going to have to battle it out, and you're going to have to sit there and go, okay. It was like earlier today with the Rams and the Seahawks. What did Sean McVay do? And they said it. The announcer said it. Sean McVay is going to play the punt game with the Seahawks right now. It's a one possession game.
And they have Matthew and Puka and Devontae.
Yes, and what it mean? We were sitting over there and we were listening, and the announcer said the first team that makes a big move is going to be the team that wins it. But what did he keep doing? He kept punting it, and he kept punting it. And yes, they almost came back, and it was a close game, but they squeezed that out because they played it. Now, I'm going to say safe, but they went the right way, right? And I just think there's games where Dan Campbell, like once you get versus a team that can beat you like that, the aggressiveness isn't going to work every time. And when you get to 0-2 in the game, 0-3, 0-4, 0-5, okay, let's start pinning them back. Like, obviously, we're having struggles with the O-line. Obviously, it's Jared Goff isn't having his best game. Okay, how do we adjust him so we can still find a way to win this game? Let's trust our special. Like, why does Dan Campbell talk about all three phases, and when one phase is down, we need to trust the other phases when you're not going to trust the other phases? Because today, guess what happened? He didn't trust the other phases.
No, he didn't. I
mean,
you
didn't trust the other
phases.
Special teams. You constantly just kept trying to go for it on fourth down because, I don't know, did you feel like you couldn't trust your defense? Even though your defense kept stepping up in every single moment. Every time their number was called, man, that defense stepped up and called. They held them to 16 points.
Defense played
while being
out.
Put in bad positions.
They played lights out. They played good enough to win the game. The defense, they got nothing to be ashamed about.
No, nothing at all, man. And that's where
the pass rush was a little shaky, but that was it.
Coach,
they were good.
And I love Dan, but as the head coach, I know you're the play caller, and you know what it might have been? Maybe he's wanted to, like, I don't know, prove a point to what he was doing with the play call and that he could do it. But, like, as the head coach, you got to be able to step in and be like, we're winning this one on D. Even if you went into the game, Jeff Iafrate, and you had the mindset of offense, we need you tonight because our defense is down a couple guys. We need you, offense. We need you to be aggressive tonight. Okay, after the first quarter, hey, offense, that's on me. This is a defensive game. Defense, we need you. We're going to start pinning them back.
I want to read, there's a comment here from a technical Jeff. He says, going for it is trusting the defense. Well, I would get why you think that way, but you think the Eagles trust Vic Fangio and that defense because they kept punting it. Like, that's not always the case. You can still trust your defense and put them in a much more favorable position to help them out. You know, I think you're being a little too cocky or maybe a little too nonchalant if you're just like, oh yeah, the defense is good. We'll just give them the ball at the 50 and you guys just continue to get stops. Like, that at some point is going to break. Like, they're going to score at some point. They just are. The seal's going to break.
Yeah.
So I think helping your defense out, even though they're playing well, by making them go the full field is way better, because guess what? Eagles are now going the full field, and if they go 4 and out or 3 and out, they punt from farther back.
You got to trust.
So
Jack
then you
Fox
get closer
too,
field position. You know what I'm saying? So
I see what you were saying earlier in the game. Once you kind of get farther into the game,
that's
the way it worked out towards the end. Like, if it was, I will say this: if the Eagles won like 32-6, right? Like, say they put up 20+ points, I would probably be opposite of you and be like, listen, you do have to go for it because you are going to fall behind because, you know, offensive battles, right? Like, sometimes you think that you're going to have to get into an offensive shootout. But when you start realizing that the game's turning into a defensive battle and it's like the first one to get to 20 is going to win this game, you have to start pinning them back, and you have to start doing that. And I know it's tough on your defense, but
dude.
hey, last week, guess what? Your offense did all the work. Guess what you needed this week? You needed your defense to do all the work. I think it was a little embarrassing that
I think these type of games in general, like these type of low scoring games, there's moments. I said this during the watch party. There's a couple moments you point to in a game that changes everything. To me, what hurts them, and I it's not that these are the only plays, but these are some of them. Goff's pick to start the game to give the Eagles 3 was a tough one, especially looking back. That's tough. And they were moving the ball decently well before they threw that pick. That kind of sucks some momentum out. The Eagles get 3. J-Mo's penalty after celebrating. That's tough because now they needed every point today. They lost 9-16. It would have been a 6-point game at that point. And guess what? You left 3 on the board.
Hobie.
You left 3 on the board when you were in the red zone and decided to go for it. That's another 3. So it's just like these type of games to me are a couple moments. And again, it's not about nitpicking Dan. I would understand. I understand going for it in like a higher scoring game to where it's
that's
like
my point. This game
like the Bills
out,
game.
Again, like I said, this game turned out to be 28-6 and you knew you had to stay in it offensively with them. That's why in the first quarter when you said that, I'm like, and I'm no, wait, like I'm fine with it, right? But as you get into the game, there has to be a point where it clicks, no?
Yeah, I mean, you think
where it clicks and goes, okay, we got to start pitting them. We got to start
like in the
back.
Bills game last year where they were just scoring points. I get it, go for it, bro. Touchdowns are winning the game. Today, you don't need, dude. Your defense is playing lights out.
Yeah,
like it's just feel for the game. I think Dan sometimes
unbelievable game,
which I'm surprised. He's a former player. Like you'd be. I mean, just surprising that at times he does seem like he has a lack of a feel for the game. Like I'm gonna be honest, he got outcoached today. Like Nick Sirianni was a better coach on the field. He got outcoached today.
I don't think there's anyone that would say that Dan Campbell didn't.
Now I will say I'm not gonna let Brad Holmes get away with this either. Because I'll tell you one thing, 2 things that you could have done at the deadline, and we're going to keep talking about this. Mahogany was hurt. We knew he was hurt. You could have upgraded the O-line. I know, listen, we can look back and say, well, this guy wasn't available. This guy wasn't available. We don't know who was available. They didn't get traded, whatever. Brad, I'm looking at you too. Because guess what? The Eagles were still one of the teams that were favored to win a Super Bowl, and they went and got Jalen Phillips, and Jalen Phillips wrecked the game today. So they made moves, and it paid off. So Brad's not absolved from this either. I mean, he went into the year with this O-line, and this O-line is not that good. They're not that good. Graham's not good. Even when Mahogany was here, he wasn't that good. Tate Ratledge has not been good. Like they miss not having Zeitler and Frank so bad. In Goff, we know what Goff is. He needs to be protected at an elite level, and he has not been. And you see it in this game. He was pressured. And he just didn't look good. But, it's on Goff, but we also know that Goff needs to be protected. So I look at the guy who's assembling the roster. I look at Brad Holmes. That depth is not there at some positions. And I will say at edge, you were so confident. Listen, people keep talking about this edge room. This edge room, you don't have enough. Aiden has not played well the last 2 games. You have not had anyone else step up but Aiden. And if Aiden's not there consistently playing well, this team doesn't have much. They don't. Aleem's not playing well. AQM's falling off a cliff. Even when Davenport gets back, are we really going to bank on him to be a world beater? They needed more depth at edge. They needed more depth for sure. They're last in the NFL in pass rush win rate, and they didn't do much today. So I don't want to hear we're good. No, you're not good. You're bad. You're really bad when it comes to rushing the passer. I know they're top 5 in sacks, but guys, sacks don't number. We'll just say this. A lot of those sacks are coming from your linebackers besides AQM, who had a nice stretch to start the year, and Aiden. So your linebackers are doing work. But more than that, I look at can you win one-on-ones, and they're the last in the NFL at doing that. So cleanup sacks are one thing. I'm talking about winning one-on-ones, getting key sacks in key moments. They don't do that. They don't do it. They don't step up in these moments. And, the Broncos today, it's a great example. The Broncos today had a grimy game with the Chiefs. They were so bad offensively. So bad. They kicked 5 field goals, and they won that game. 5 field goals, and they won that game. Let's see how many 4th down attempts the Broncos had, because I'm curious. Let's see how many 4th down attempts the Broncos had, and they won that game kicking 5 field goals. Grimy game. They ended up winning it.
How many? I want to see this though real quick because I'm not trying to say you're wrong.
They didn't have a single one.
But this is what I'm thinking of though. I do want to see plays. Can you read this too? While I just want to make sure I'm not putting anything bad out there. But I think this is a funny tweet. Is that good?
Yeah, that's fine.
You think that's funny, or are people going to be a little?
No, it looks good.
I mean, that person.
Don't do it.
Will you like it?
I will like it.
All right. You won't?
I will.
So okay, can we do this real quick though? How many opportunities did they actually have on turnover or downs to actually kick a field goal? That's what because I see what you're saying. All right, first one. Incomplete first attempt. The end of it is at the 45-yard line. Do you think would you have kicked the field goal? It was 4th and 3 at the 45. It would have been a 55 plus 7. It would have been a 62-yard field goal. Would you have rather punted or kicked the field goal?
What was this 4th and 8?
4th and 3 at the 45. So it would have been a 62-yard field goal.
This was late in the game?
Just to start the game. Or fourth quarter, yes.
How many attempts do they have at kicking field goals?
I don't know, but I'm just gonna. My point is, I just want to see.
I'm trying to envision the scenario.
But my point is on 4th downs. It's not just a scenario. What I'm saying, I'm going to go over each down and see which ones are actually realistic of kicking the field goal in that moment. Before we're like, hey, you should have kicked the field goal every time.
No, I'm not saying every time. I'm saying in the. I only remember one time.
Because this one,
be 2.
You probably don't. You go for it, right? So that's 1 out of the 5. The next one was 4th and goal at the 3. And it's an incomplete pass. You could have kicked that, right? So that's 1 you could have kicked. Next one, 4th and 5 at the 32. That would have been a 42 plus 7. That would have been about a 49-yard.
You kicked that.
48-yard field goal.
So
that's 2 you could have kicked, right? And then that's 2 out of the 3. The other one, 4th and 2 at the 43, 53. That would have been out of 58, 59.
That's long.
Yeah, that one's not bad. Maybe that's one though where you take a delay of game. Because it was 3-0 at that moment.
And you just punt it.
It was 3-0
it's just,
at that moment.
And I hate nitpicking.
And then the next one's at the 48, 4th and 1, you don't get it. So
and again, people are gonna see this and say, well, you guys are just no, this is how we felt. This is how I felt at the time. I'm not trying to play revisionist history. I felt this way while they were running the play. I didn't like it at the time.
Can I say this? Those 2 field goals you take, right? Say you take them. What is it? 16-15? Guess what? JMO. I don't care about celebrations. I don't care how cool you look. You don't do that. They kick field goals. Guess what? It's 16-16 on the road, right? If you're disciplined and you play the football the right way, when you're talking about kicking field goals, no penalties, being disciplined, guess what? It's a 16-16 game. And yeah, the Eagles are going down there at the end probably to try and score.
The Eagles, think about it. They got 6 off the fake punt and the interception. So there's 6 off that. It's just like these key moments in a game.
I don't care if you go for it throughout the game, but in moments where it's like, hey, you can get a field goal here and you can get every point matters, especially in a low-scoring game. I think this is where people need to wrap their head around it a little, and I don't think people realize this enough. When it's a game that, what is it? How many points were in this game tonight? 25 total?
Mm-hmm.
A game with 25 total points, do you know how valuable 6 or 7 points is?
Oh, it's everything.
You just lost by 7. You don't go for it. You don't kick a field goal on a 40-something yard attempt, and you take that away from Jake Bates. You don't go up for it on like a 50-yard attempt, take that away from Jake Bates. And Jameson Williams gets you a penalty, and you lose 1 point. You know how valuable in a 25-point game 7 points is? That's valuable. That's on Dan Campbell, and that's on JMO. And I'm not saying the whole game, but those points, 7 points, how much did you lose by?
It's really
It's
everything.
that simple. It's that simple.
No, it really is. It really is everything. I know people, like I see, people are probably going to pull the, like I already see it. Boots in the chat. It's the Super Bowl champs on the road. I certainly hope you think the Rams suck because they lost to them too. Listen, man. This isn't just about the loss itself. All right. It's about lingering issues that have been issues already. The offensive line has been a problem. It keeps popping up as a problem. I mean, there's things that people have been talking about that continuously keep popping up. That's a problem. The defense has actually been a positive that keeps popping up. But listen, we expect this team to go to a Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl. That's what we expect. And I could say that if you want to evaluate what this team has looked like over the last couple of weeks, I'll put it in 2. This is very simply put. The Lions, to me, have a Super Bowl defense. They do not have a Super Bowl offense. Okay? That's where they're at right now. We have the whole season to see it. That's what I think right now. We talked about it on Friday. Lions at that defense, 8.5. I'm confident 8 that you can win a Super Bowl with that defense. The offense, that's tough. That is tough, man. You can't protect your quarterback. Some of the decision-making in this game did not make me very happy.
No.
So it doesn't give me a lot of confidence in big moments that Dan will make the right decisions. We've seen it in 2 games now. 49ers championship game in this game. 2 big moments. You fucked up in both of them. And I love Dan, but that's tough today. That's tough. And I want to hear his press conference so bad.
Me too.
I want to hear what he's saying.
To be honest, his press conference is going to be. We all know what it's going to be. He's going to take a responsibility. And here you go, Campbell. I don't believe that's the norm. We could not quite convert. I don't believe that's here to stay. So he obviously thinks he's there. At some point they're going to turn and. Dan Campbell on the Rocky Sin DPI. I wouldn't tell him to do anything different. Yeah, that's fair on that. He said, I thought he played defense like he did the whole game. I thought he challenged and played it like he did the very first step. Dan Campbell, there's a minute 35 here on Dan Campbell. Do you want me to play this? Do you want me to go over there and play this?
Yeah, I mean, you can cue it up from. Oh, well, yeah. I mean, you can do that. I won't be able to hear it. That's the only problem. But yeah, Booner's going to play a Dan Campbell clip so we can listen to it. I don't know, man. That's tough. That is tough. It's just it's. I want to see Dan call plays for the rest of the year. Like, I think there's still ups and downs in this thing, and I'm not saying the guy's all of a sudden an idiot. I'm not saying that because we've seen it in positive against the Commanders. So I think we have 2 very different games. We have to see more of it. I understand that. Offensive line is ass. It's really bad. It's really bad. And I don't know. All right. Let's play this clip from Dan Campbell. Put yes in the chat if you can hear the clip when it's playing. You can cue it.
All right. Credit to those guys over there. They earned that win. They made they made the plays in the critical moments. They're at the end to win it. So that's what they've done. It's proud of the way the guys played. I thought they played their tails off, played hard, man. I thought we finished plays, tried to finish plays. I thought we were disciplined for the most part. But just, defense, I thought really, really played their tails off, I thought they showed up, played championship-style defense. That they had to put out a number of fires there between the takeaways and the 4th down stops. But like I told them, man, yeah. But it's also you got the hot hand. You gotta beat them back one more time. And then offensively, 3 of 13, 0 on 3rd down, and 0 of 5 on 4th down. We could not convert. And when you can't convert, that makes it very difficult. Felt like we were gonna get in a rhythm after that. Second quarter, we started, we hit those explosives, went down, J-Mo scores, touchdown, and it felt like, all right, here we go. But just couldn't ever really get in a rhythm offensively. There's some calls I wish I could have gotten back. I didn't help those guys, and I hate that. I didn't help them. So, but that was kind of the story of the game. You can get it done. They made the most of the opportunity. We didn't, but we're right there, and we understand what it is, and we understand we make 1 or 2 more plays in certain areas, then you got the legit shot to win that game at the end. So it is as bad as it stings, as bad as it is. We're so freaking close, and I mentioned this before, you just kind of hit some of these patches here. We're middle way through the season. We're in November, and I believe this is the best thing for us. You know, you don't want to say that and it doesn't feel good, but yet, man, we're going to learn from this. We're going to get better. We're going to adjust. And we'll be hitting our stride when other teams start to hit their adversity towards the back end of the season. I really believe that. So we had our.
All right. So it's tough. I'm not gonna lie. It's really tough to hear from me. Dan Campbell say weeks ago that his goal for this Lions team is to win games in different ways. And you just played a game in which it looked very differently. There's like 30 burgers we've eaten.
Yeah.
The game looked very differently, and this would be a different way to win a game, and you failed miserably. You just couldn't get it done. You know, that sucks. Because I know what Dan's trying to say. We got to be ready to win different types of games. But I went back while we were on the show, and I'm looking at these games that they've scored under 20 in the opponent, and I'm looking at only games where the opponent scored under 20. These grimy games, they're all losses. I mean, even with Ben Johnson. I mean, like Tampa Bay, 20-16, they lost that. 19-20 Dallas, that was a controversial call, but they still lost that. You go back, they did win against the Green Bay Packers 15-9, but they lost it. And now we're going back to 2021. But you get my point. In the last couple of years, they haven't had a ton of them, but when they do get in these lower scoring games, it doesn't always work out for them well. You know, they fail at, doing the necessary things in these type of games when it comes to, the field position battle or, giving your defense, even though they're playing well, a better chance to win a ball game, which is pinning the opposing team's offense back. They're giving them short fields, and Dan assisted them by giving them short fields, or at least half the field to drive on them on. I mean, it showed a graphic during the game. It was like a average start or the average distance in which they start or whatever it was. The Lions were starting on like the 20-yard line. The Eagles were starting on like the 45 on the average amount of their drives. Like they're already starting 20 or so yards closer than you. I mean, you got a play or two and you're already in field goal position in a game where field goals matter. So
I do think
he says they're close though, Boone.
No, so okay, I'll say this. Like obviously, I'll say this. It's obvious like they are close because you lose the game by one possession as bad as you were. Right. And I think that's where the close part comes in. I do think there's a side of things, though. It's like when you've played the Chiefs, the Packers, and the Eagles, three teams that are supposed to be some of the best in the league, you haven't been able to figure it out. So it's like you are close, but you do have to get over the hump at some point. Because guess what? Want to know something crazy? Who keeps winning games like this that you're not winning?
The Eagles.
The Eagles.
And remember, I'm not coming at you, but remember that's supposed to be a bad thing. They're winning one score games.
100%. I've said that, but I think that's the part with the Lions where, like, no, he's not wrong. Like, you have the defense, and like, let's call a spade a spade. How bad this offense is, and what you said right now, like, that's not a Super Bowl offense we saw today, correct?
Yeah, today was not.
But the fact is, and this is where Dan and this is as a head coach, this is like your job to figure this out. You have everything to have a Super Bowl offense. Like, this offense should not be the thing that holds your team back from winning a Super Bowl. This has been the best part about your football team for the last 3 seasons. You cannot allow this offense to be the reason why you don't win a Super Bowl, especially when you have a Super Bowl defense, a caliber of a defense there. This all falls on Dan Campbell trying to get this thing right. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the bottom line of this whole thing. And it's not a slight at Dan, and Dan probably knows this as well. Like, yes, it takes everyone in that building, all hands on deck to get this thing over the hump, and to figure out how to win these games. And we're that close to get there. But at the end of the day, it comes from the top, and it comes from Dan Campbell. He has to be the one to take control of this thing, and he has the one to be to figure out, okay, how do we get over this hump? How do that gap that we keep saying we're close to, how do we close that gap? How do we get to where the Eagles are, where they keep figuring out how to win these games? The Broncos, where they just somehow just keep winning football games. Like, these teams that just keep doing it and they know how to win games, that's what Dan has to start doing. Right? Like, last year you did it and it was 15-2, but you had a bad schedule. Now you're playing some legit teams, and it's biting you in the butt. And yeah, guess what's you want to know exactly? I could tell you. You guys want to know? I've got the NFL script. Yeah, Jeff, you know what's going to happen? Who do they play next week?
The Giants.
And guess what's going to happen? Offensively, they're going to put up 40 points. The defense is going to hold them around 20, and everyone's going to say, "This is the best offense in the NFL. This is the greatest thing since sliced bread." And then who do they play the next week?
Packers
on Thanksgiving. And then guess what? you better come ready and you better put a back-to-back game together. You better put a back-to-back game together. In prime time again, you better show up to Ford Field on Thanksgiving and show that what you can do with this offense. And there better not be any slip-ups like today.
And that's the problem is, and I'm saying for me, I'm evaluating this team based on how you play against the top teams in the league, right? How they play against the Chiefs, how they play against the Eagles, how they play against the Rams, these type of teams. That's what I want to look at. And they're 0 for 2 so far. They play the Rams later in the year. I don't feel too good about that game as of right now. Okay, I'll tell you that. And on top of that, I don't really, and I'm not saying this like if you understand where I'm coming from here, I don't give a shit if they score 60 on the Giants. It's not about beating the Giants. Okay, I'm sick of hearing they're close or we're close. We should already be here, and that's not on. I mean, it's like everybody to get some blame in that. Like Brad Holmes too. Why do we have to always be close? I mean, you've been building this team for years now. We should have arrived. Okay, we shouldn't have to always be close, or like we're so close. We're so close. You got a Super Bowl defense. You got a top 8 quarterback. You got arguably the best running back in football. Top 5 receiver. Jameson, Sam Laporta. You got Penei Sewell, arguably the best tackle. What the fuck are we talking about? We're close. Like that's the shit that I guess confuses me. Is like these teams. Like when is it? This year they mentioned Super Bowl a bit. I think that's a fair expectation for everyone in that locker room. We're a Super Bowl team. All right, we're back. We were just hurt last year. I don't know, man. You're third in the division, bro. They don't look good. Bears are number 1 in your freaking division. They keep winning these 1-score games. I don't know how they're doing it, and their offense doesn't look good. So, I don't know, man. It's just like, what are we close to? I'll tell you what you're close to. You better not fuck around and miss the playoffs, okay? That's where you're close.
Oh, that's not going to happen.
They're
Don't say
6-4.
Yeah, but they're not going to miss the playoffs.
We say that they're closer to missing the playoffs than they are winning a Super Bowl. I'll tell you that. They're 6-4. We're acting like this team's like 8-1.
To be fair, okay, I will say this. To be fair, we knew going into this season that the schedule was tough.
Yeah, but we said 13-12 wins, bro. And they still play. Guess who they still play? Rams. That's a loss. Packers.
No, I'm not saying
that's going to be
it's a battle. It's a tough.
They're
a good team,
but a tough game.
I'm not going to automatically call loss. That's a tough game. That's a great opponent.
Okay, whatever you want to say. Fine, tough game. Packers.
Tough opponent.
They play another tough team too. You know who I think? And I actually let me look at the schedule. Actually, this is a bad time. End of the year game in Chicago against the Bears. It ain't gonna look like the first time you played. I think that'll be actually a tougher game.
The Bears will be a tough game.
Vikings rematch. I think they'll get them, but still, that ain't no gimme. That's it. They just showed. They just beat them. Who else they play? Let me see. I'll tell you right now. Cowboys. I think they can beat the Cowboys. Actually,
they should be able to beat the Giants.
And then the Steelers. It depends what happens with Aaron Rodgers, but the Steelers have a good defense. They'll tear this whole line up if they play like shit. So that
would be one of the most. Honestly, I'll say this. That'd be one of the most disappointing seasons in Detroit history if this Lions team doesn't make the playoffs. That would be disappointing.
And this NFC has a lot of like ETN just said, a 10-7 team will miss the playoffs. I don't think it happens.
If we in January have to start talking about the NFL draft and doing mock drafts, I would be thrown for a loop. That would be one of the worst things of all time.
Boots Omega says, this game was on the road with a different surface and bad weather. You understand that's huge, right? Oh, yeah. You do realize you're third in the division. Get comfortable going on the road, bro.
Yeah, Jared. And by the way, Jared Goff hasn't always been bad. Like, people put that out there. Like, these are games he's supposed to perform in, man. Like, he's been good in Chicago. He's been good in Green Bay. Like, you can't use that as an excuse when he plays bad in these things. It's, you know what I mean?
No, I didn't even bring it up.
No, I know. Like, the guy did. But, like, he should be able to go in there and perform. And I'm with you. Like, and guess who you're probably going to have to go play on the road in the playoffs? The Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You're probably going to have to go to Chicago or to Green Bay. You're probably going to have to go to one of those, opponents. So
you know who I think if they miss the playoffs, the biggest person to me to blame. There's a lot of blame, actually. Well, I think Dan and Brad, but I think it'd be Dan, for the OC stuff. It's been if it continues to be a disaster. If it's a derail in the O line, and then Brad for the O line and for other things. Brad deserves accountability if they miss the playoffs, bro. Like Brad's gonna have to be like at least looked at. Like, what the fuck are you?
Yeah, and you know what he's gonna have to stop. And I know again it's early in the season, but you are 6-4. The part that's gonna got to stop is hey, you know what I mean. I'm obviously I have the job. I know more than all of you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like you know.
I don't want to say ego, but what's the word that we were using in the off season? I'm drawing a blank with that. You know, we had a word we were using for Brad when he would have those. It was like someone did it recently to the media. Oh, Shep did it. Coach Kelvin Shepherd did it to someone recently.
Oh, passive aggressive.
Yeah, just like acting
smug.
like I know more than you, and it's like I'm never wrong. You're always wrong. I know. Oh, I'm the coach, so I know more than the media, than the fans, than this. And it's like it feels a little, in my opinion, like when that comes across, it feels a little disrespectful.
Yeah,
and like, yeah, obviously, you're like you guys are the ones running the team. You're the GM. You're the coach. Like, obviously, you got there for a reason, and there is a side of trusting you. But when you have that mentality, in my opinion, that takes the fans' voice and the media's voice away. When you kind of think that, right? And if you're going to have that attitude, if Brad Holmes is going to have that attitude where he's going to pull up the press conferences and act like he's kind of the man, which he's built a great football team. I think Brad Holmes is still a great GM. But when you're going to have that attitude, man, like then when you start losing and things start happening, like you better be able to face that and not complain about it. Which in the past, like this last offseason, I don't think he faced it great.
No,
he pulled up to the press conference of the draft and was like, tight or edge rusher.
Yeah.
Edge rusher.
You still need one, bud.
And then some reason, like, guess what? Like, and I'll call a spade a spade. What was the one bad thing about your offense today? What does Jared Goff need to be successful? What is it?
It's an O-line.
O-line. And what did Brad? Okay, you know what? You guys want to do this? We want to play this game tonight, Jeff? You want to play this game? We always give Brad his props, right? We always give his props. Let's talk about something bad that Brad's done. Brad didn't have this offensive line prepared. You can say Dan all you want. Brad was not prepared for Brad Holmes was not prepared for Frank Ragnow to retire, knowing that any moment he would retire. Knowing Brad Holmes signed Kevin Zeitler to a 1-year deal and did not have a backup plan for him until the next offseason. Brad Holmes knows Taylor Decker's declining and has still not found another tackle to replace on this team. And what was the problem today? And what's been the problem all year every time you've played a bad game offensively? Protection. We can't run the ball. Offensive line struggling. So if Brad's going to step up to the podium in moments, right, and he's going to be smug, like you said, to fans and media, then in these moments, I think fans are allowed to be smug back and say, hey, Brad, why didn't you have this offensive line ready? Why were you a year or two too late of building this offensive line? Why did you wait until this offseason when we already were Super Bowl contenders to go draft a rookie and get a 6th-round Christian Mahogany instead of going and getting 2 corners in the first 2 rounds last year who right now just aren't giving you anything?
The problem is when he takes the players. I mean, Mahogany's a starter. He's a 6th-round pick, and I'll say I was wrong. I thought he was going to be a breakout player. He's been awful. He's been awful all year. I'm actually, honestly, him being hurt, I don't think affects that. They're still bad. I mean, he's bad. He has not been good.
Cool.
Chris Mahogany, when healthy. Like, honestly, like, Yodi showed more in one game than Mahogany showed all year.
I agree. And
then Tate Ratledge, I'm sorry, he hasn't gotten comfortable yet. He's still not.
Yeah, but you're putting yourself in this position where a rookie has to step up into a Super Bowl team, and not even like a 1st-round rookie, a 3rd or 2nd-round rookie, and you're just hoping that he ends.
I guess what I'm getting at is he should have knowing what Jared Goff and this team is built on the O-line. You should have invested better resources in.
This should have been the priority number 1.
Like Giovanni Manu was your highest offensive line taken before Ratledge, and he was a project.
I don't understand.
Penei Sewell's great. He was your highest drafted offensive lineman.
I don't understand in the last 2 years why in the first 2 rounds you didn't draft a guard that could play a center.
I don't mind taking one every year. Just take a fucking guard.
But what I'm saying is, like, how did you not last year, knowing that, hey, last year could have been Frank's last year? How did you not get some, like with the Eagles? You know what they did? Guess what? Fun fact. Eagles went and got Cam Jurgens. What did they do for Cam Jurgens? They made sure he was in the building with Jason Kelce to learn for at least a minimum of 1 year. I don't remember how many years fully he was there.
He was there for about
but
a year.
he was there
more.
learning under Cam Jurgen or under Jason Kelsey. So when they knew Jason Kelsey,
Was
listen,
getting
they
close.
knew at some point Jason Kelsey was going to hang it up. They thought maybe he'd go one more year. It was close. Hey, it's on the edge. Okay, what do they have? They had Cam Jurgens in the kind of the shadow, learning every day from him, and just sitting there watching. How does he work? Talking to him. Guess what you didn't have with who's Tate, who potentially could be your future center or your next center. They didn't get one day with Frank Ragnow. Not one day with the second or third, maybe even the best center in the entire NFL for the last 6 years. You didn't have one guy in 6 years underneath
That's
Frank
a good point.
Ragnow
That's a good point.
to learn or to get mentored from. How does that happen as a GM? When you've built a team, how last year did you not get a center in here? Jeff, I'm not even saying just in the draft. You can go out and get a free agent that's a little bit younger and say, hey, I know you've struggled your career. Hey, just learn a little bit from Frank. Can you learn something from him? Can we like someone that just maybe didn't work out somewhere else?
The Bears, they basically just put together an O-line in one offseason.
Yeah.
And their centers, Drew Dahlman, I think his name is. He's pretty good. You could have upgraded for sure.
Oh, dude.
You don't think people wanted to? People want to play for the Lions, man. Play for this offensive line for sure. You just didn't prioritize it.
No, and you know what? And guess what? It's biting you in the you know what now. It really is.
Oh, for sure.
And for Brad, again, this is Brad being like that. Hey, I'm gonna step up here and act like I'm better than everyone else in press con. And I love Brad, man. I hope one day I get to meet Brad and we have a good conversation. But to step up in press conferences sometimes, and to have that kind of there's a word that I'm missing here. I know you said smugginess, but there's a certain word that I'm really looking for here.
Yeah, it's like
the cockiness.
Yeah, passive aggressive.
Being cocky towards the fan base and the media over the last couple years when they have just a little pushback of asking questions and constantly asking for edges and be like, see, I told you, trust me. But then it's like, man, like, what about the offensive line? What about that? Like, look at this. Like, I'm pretty sure he's starting at center right now. No?
Yeah, I don't know if he's been like really good. But regardless.
But either way, I mean, they're those guys that
they haven't invested high resources into an offensive lineman until Ratledge, and it was basically a last-minute decision when your all-line needed it.
Yeah.
They should have did it earlier. And I'm not talking about Giovanni Manu. You already drafted Panay, and that was a top 7 pick, so that's different. But ever since then, it was Gio's the highest one drafted, bro.
Yep.
And Gio was a project. Like, they should have been taken.
Chris Mahogany is 6th round. He's starting at left guard. Like, I think it's awesome to find a guy in
But him and
round.
Tate are basically rookies in a Super Bowl year.
Yeah.
You have two guys that have no idea. I mean, it's shit. They don't know what the fuck.
You have like the oldest Graham Glasgow of all time at center. Your interior,
who's declining?
2 rookies,
He's just declining.
And a Graham Glasgow, who I think the city of Detroit loves, that's just getting put in some of the worst positions of all time because he's just too old right now. He's just not like in his prime
quarterbacks
anymore.
like Goff, the worst pressure is from the interior. Their interior is so bad. It's so bad. We got $10.
Real quick, 00 Dolphins said, it's one thing to lose games, but we're getting absolutely embarrassed in our losses. We don't get the hard-fought game that we couldn't quite get in the W. It felt like that game was over at half. Yeah, I will say
fair.
I think it's all fair. I will say this though, like again, this game was a one-possession game, and you had multiple opportunities to kind of take control of this game constantly. Like the Eagles just kept being like, dangle it in front of you. Like those, what are those things when you're on a treadmill for someone and you put like a piece of like cake up in the front and they were like hovering that in front of you and they're like, come take the game.
It felt like, even though it was a one-score game, and you have to keep that in mind, you're right. It did feel like the Eagles were just in control of that game.
Yeah.
Like the whole game.
But there was like moments, I felt like every other possession, there was a moment where it was like, oh, you can take back control. We could take control back.
And they just never quite
And they
did
just
it.
never did it. Never did it. Donna O said here, Donna said, thanks for doing this, guys. This one was heartbreaking. I think all the blame is left on the managing assets and hires. It's on Brad and company. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can look back and say offensive coordinator's kind of been a disaster. Obviously, Johnny Moe can't call plays, so Dan's doing it. And, I'm not going to go at Dan too much about it. I think if you had a good OC, you wouldn't even be in this situation. But the other part of it is on Brad. I think Brad deserves some blame here. Deadline failures, prepping for Frank's exit failures, making sure this O-line is still at a high level. Those failures, Tate Ratledge, obviously a lot of pressures on him. That's not fair to him.
Listen, signing defensive linemen, Marcus Davenport, your top 3 defensive linemen, Marcus Davenport, edge rushers, who hurt and has had a history, who has barely.
And we have to
played for you.
clarify, Brad's a very good GM.
Great GM. I still think he's one of the best in the league.
People will take this clip
But
and say, you guys hate Brad Holmes. No, he's an excellent GM who fucks up. You know, he's like every other GM.
When you get to a certain point, though, these minute, like, you know what I mean? Like the Javi Roseman, like, he doesn't win a Super Bowl every year, but like the years he does, all those moves he makes fall into place correctly, right? And he's done it multiple times now. Like, people are messaging me like, Howie has only done it once. He got lucky. No, Howie's been in Philly since 2010.
He won 2.
He's won 2. He wasn't the GM, but he was the VP. So he was above the GM. He was overseeing the GM in that moment. The other one.
Yeah.
So it's essentially like he won 2 Super Bowls. He's been to 3. He's been to 2 as a GM.
He gets it.
But when you get to this good, like when you're at the level that the Lions are to win a Super Bowl, all these moves matter, man. And the fact that you signed Levi Onwuzurike on the deal that you did, instead of going out and getting some of these guys around the league around the same price who are making plays, Marcus Davenport, who right now isn't on the football field for you, it's a tough look, man.
Yeah, like Matt says, my biggest problem with Brad is how unprepared our O-line was when everyone knew Frank Ragnow might retire. That's what you just hit on. Yeah, that's the big one right there, man. This O-line is not good enough. It's not good enough. And then I'll go to Illuminate Yourself's comment because it's a very good point. 3 threes for Tesla over depth. I mean, Tesla hasn't even contributed. Again, you've got to make. I feel like a broken record when I keep saying this, but I'm going to go crazy. But it's just a true fact. In the NFL, everyone has windows. Who tweeted that out?
I think some of these are fair, but I think
who is that?
Some.
Oh my gosh. Every team has a window. When you are in the thick of it in that window, there'll be a time or times where you have a limited amount of chances to capitalize on that opportunity. And it's your best chance to win a Super Bowl. The Lions are in the middle of that. And where I'm coming from is I think they are wasting that time.
Oh, computer just died.
They're not taking advantage of they're in the thick of it. This is like prime Super Bowl window. Everyone's on the team. You got talent everywhere, bunch of all pros everywhere. You know, guys are playing at high levels, and then you just are fucking up. And whether it's Brad not, preparing for Frank's exit, or it's Dan in this messing up the OC role, or you have games like this where there's mismanagement of the game, or whatever it may be, you're tripping over yourself in the prime of your window. And last year, I can't blame them because the injury, so I'm not going to say it's their fault, but it does feel that way. I mean, this team is 6-4, and we knew the schedule was tough, but like, that's just like, it's just unacceptable. I mean, you're third in your division, and I guess I never really imagined that. I don't know. That's tough right now to look at that. That's a tough look. So I hope, and that's why I'm hard on Brad, because I feel like this window, Howie always is good at just capitalizing on that and being like, hey, this is our window, time to strike, and he does, and they win.
To be fair,
and Brad just like, well, maybe I'll wait and set this one out.
Just to win, win 10 games this season, to get to double digits, you have to go 4-3 the rest of the season. And like you said earlier, like, you don't have the easiest schedule in the world.
Yeah.
Right. You
Some
still
tricky ones.
And that really what it leaves room for no mistake. Like losing that Vikings game, that one's a tough one because that's one you should win probably, right? And that probably puts you at 7-3 right now instead of 6-4, to where you're still in the driver's seat. But right now, like you're in a spot in this season to where, and the tweet that I saw, I was trying to reply to it, my computer died as I was typing the reply. Maybe that was a good thing, so I didn't have to go back and forth with some people in the media. But I
can already see people tweeting out. They're fine.
And listen, and I'm interested to see kind of some of the beat reporters that you kind of do your show with later this week. I'm interested to see where some people are, because I think there's a lot of people out there in the media who do sit there and try and be like, oh, everything's fine. Where do we, like, this is not that big of a deal. Like, no, you're in the building, so you know some of these guys, right? Like, personally, I'm not saying that some of these people do that way, but like at the end of the day, it's like, no, you're 6-4 compared to what your expectations were for this team. This is a bad start. This is not a good start. You're 6-4 right now. Like that's not good. Like, yeah, obviously the sky fully isn't falling, but I'll tell you what, like there's hail coming from the sky right now. Things are happening. There's a thunderstorm right now. You know?
Wait a second. Didn't we say who'd they play after the bye? Vikings?
Yeah.
Didn't we have a schedule prediction for after the bye? The next 3 games we foreshadowed.
I think we said 2-1. And they went 1-2.
Yeah, is that what we said?
Yeah, because we said just win 2 of the 3. If you lose to
And
the Eagles,
they
fine.
went
But
1-2.
we thought Commanders Vikings you would win. They end up going 1-2.
I'll tell you what, though.
Which again, you can rip off a couple wins here. If you rip off a couple wins here, right back at it. And this is where I don't want people to think that we're sitting up here being like, this season's over. Because I see people tweeting it out and being like, oh, people are being like, this team can't ever win a Super Bowl. The window's closed, sky's falling. Like, listen, that's obviously not all it, but I do think it's okay to have a voice of concern. And a lot of people in this city, I think when people do kind of voice their concern, they try and be like, oh, no, come on. It's not that big of a deal. Give them the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, okay. It's 6-4, man. And this is a game you should have won. You've lost 2 games now in the last 3 weeks by 1 possession that you should have won. And it's your fault you lost it. And you would think after the Vikings, you know what the most frustrating part about this, Jeff, is? You would think after the Vikings game, a 1-possession loss, you would think that they would have found a way. Like, okay, now we know. And guess what they do today? They do what they did again. And it happens again. And it's like every time that there's an opportunity to get yourself back in the game versus the Vikings, versus the Eagles, versus the Chiefs, guess what they just kept not doing? They just kept shooting themselves in the foot. Just kept doing it. Every time. If you think this team can go win 3 or 4 games in a row to win a Super Bowl, you're right now, the way they're playing right now, you're kidding yourself. You're delusional. You just want to be you just want to be like, oh no, you're delusional.
There was I just saw Jeremy's tweet. This is kind of interesting. I didn't even realize we didn't even talk about this. Right before half, the whole debacle there. Jeremy put out AJ Brown's catch happened with 1:12 left. Timeout. Barkley's run takes another 4 seconds. Timeout. Tush push 2 seconds. Lions will get the ball back with 1 minute left in a timeout. On a windy night, that's no easy situation, but he just kneeled it. They kneeled it, went to half. So you had 1 minute and 1 timeout. So you had a chance to maybe get 3. I know the offense wasn't playing well.
Wait, no, that's wrong. They nailed it with 11 seconds left. Because I looked at Caleb and I was like, they're going to go, because I thought we were about to get another first down. They nailed it with 11 seconds.
Did he have timeouts, though? Maybe he's like simulating if they were to use those timeouts.
Oh, maybe.
That's what he was trying to say. Like, use your timeouts and get it. You know what I'm saying?
I think they did have 3 timeouts. They did. Yeah, he went to the half.
So that's probably what he was asking.
Okay.
And he asked Dan, I think he asked Dan, and he said Dan's answer was like he was thinking, Dan said he was thinking about it, but ultimately decided he was fine with just getting the ball to start the second half. But you could have had a chance to double dip, field goal, and get the ball. Yeah, it's just weird.
That's a mistake. I think Dan probably. I'm going to go into the half. Well, honestly, Dan probably answered it just saying what his thought process was. If you probably had follow up, he's probably like, yeah, that's just not me. I probably should have.
In these type of games, it's like you just mentioned it earlier. It's like 3 points, bro. Like
25 total points
there,
in the game.
there.
Yes, when there's 25 total points in an NFL game, that's like a team total over that you take 25. That was in a full game with 2 teams. 3 points is like, that feels like 2 touchdowns in that game.
Oh, it does for sure.
It really does.
It was just that type of game, man. It really was. It's depressing. Again, there's a lot of season left. I know Goff said. Oh, here's Goff speaking. He said the win. He didn't think the win played a big factor in the passing game. So he took accountability, but he did say he said everything's in front of us.
Jared.
Yeah,
I mean he's not wrong, but
I mean today there was nothing in front of Jared. I mean throwing the ball. I mean that dude was missing everybody.
He's been so good all year. It's just it sucks seeing these.
There was defensive linemen in front of him today for sure.
He did have a couple tough ones to some of the guys. He did miss a lot of throws.
He's complimenting the Eagles defense. Yeah, I mean that's just the story of the game. I mean, there's really no other way to say it. It's a tough one. That's a tough one, man. And we're going to be live tomorrow morning instead,
Yeah.
by the way. I don't know if you guys have already heard that, but we're not going to be live tomorrow night. We're going to be live tomorrow morning, 10 to 12. Oh, there you go. So they already, that's what he just, so they had plans to go for it on 4th down.
And on 3rd down, they were making those decisions. I wonder why, though. Like, I wonder what the thought process was. And again, like I said it earlier in the show, when you do get there and you go, hey, we're not playing well, you do think it's a coaching decision. Like, hey, on 3rd and 4th downs, like we're not converting well. All right, let's change the game plan a little bit, right? Like make some adjustments. Hey, let's just start punting it. Let's try and put this in our defensive hands a little bit. Before the 4th quarter, yeah, they went 0 for 5, but the 5th one was the punt, fake punt. So,
oh gosh, all right,
that was a good front 7.
You know what, Boone?
Yeah, I got to go over here. My computer died, so I'll go over there and end it. But if you want to,
yep, I'll close it out. We'll be live tomorrow, 10 to 12, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. So be there. We'll be live. We'll talk about the game. We'll get our thoughts on it. Until then, we appreciate you all. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, get your merchandise, officialctsports.com. Shout out to White Castle. We didn't finish all 80 of them, but we did 40, I think, close to.
we won the challenge.
We did do the challenge.
We finished it.
Every first down, we did eat it, but we didn't finish. Well, the Lions weren't good enough to finish it. Yeah, we did the challenge, but the Lions weren't good enough to get us more
we are winners tonight.
White Castles. We are winners tonight. We'll see you tomorrow, 10 a.m.